Good evening, Facebook, and welcome to Deep Conversations and Transformations. My name is Lynette Gray, and my intention behind these interviews is that everyone involved positively transforms. And tonight I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Gary Young. Gary is father to 15-year-old Harvey. He's also the founder of the Mindful Enterprise, which is a social enterprise with its mission to enhance health and well-being and to unlock human potential through mindfulness training. So we're hopefully just going to get him on. I'm so excited for him to come on. His bio was so powerful, so I can't imagine what this interview is going to be like. Gary, are you there? Let's see if Laura. Hi, Laura. Hopefully it works this week. Hi, Lee. We're just waiting for Gary to come on. I think I've got you on next week, Lee. That's exciting. Hi, Kirsty. Just waiting for Gary to come on. Let's hope that this works. Yes. Fingers crossed. So I was just saying that Gary is the founder of the Mindfulness Enterprise, which is a social enterprise with a mission to enhance health and well-being and to unlock human potential. So, don't tell me it's not going to work. Hi, Lee. Gary, yes, Gary, bring you on. Let's hope it works. Dun, dun, dun. Last week I tried to get Laura Weavers on and it didn't work. But I believe Gary's got an iPhone, so let's hope that this does. So bring them on, add. Can't bring Gary on the camera. Oh no, why? Let me see. What's going on? Add. Ding. Please work. Yes, yes. Gary, I was having to bring in my mindfulness there.
Yeah, drop into the body. Don't let the mind take you away on a negative tangent of thought about that, building stress.
On a panic. How are you doing? Welcome. Yes, you're
Yeah, I'm
here.
good.
Boom, brother.
Yes. Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
So good to see you. And I was just telling everyone who you are as much as I could, but leaving it all up for you to explain. And I just want to say, thank you for sharing your bio because it was really powerful. I've been friends with you for many years and I did not know that you suffered with depression. So I'd love to start there. Tell us when that was. Was it 2016?
Yeah, it was. I kept it very quiet, and I felt at the time it was something that I had to do. I had to walk that path myself, and I had to try and make sense of it and get through it on my own. I didn't. There was very, very few people that I spoke to about it, it was an interesting. It was a very interesting way that it all occurred, really, because I had, up to that point in my life, I hadn't really had any real any kind of real issues with that, the thing that was quite striking was the similarity in the nature of it and the timing of it, as my dad, who'd also had got into some difficulty when he was of a similar age, when I was only 7 or 8 years old, and he had a really serious mental health struggle, I guess, that resulted in him ending up in hospital for many months, and he was back in and out for a number of years after that as well. And that left a it was a big thing, obviously, as a child, to try and
it must have been.
understand and come to terms with. And to be honest, I didn't really realise how much it had affected me until I got older, until probably I was into my 30s, until I really started to get more of an awareness of the fact that there was still things from that time of my life that were actually stopping me from moving forward in my adult life. And So, in terms of the kind of the situation in 2016, I mean, in a similar way, my dad had moved into another job. I think it was he'd ended up with a lot more responsibility. There was other stuff going on for him as well. My situation was that I had come out of my 23 years in the corporate world, and I had moved into doing something that was very different. And I felt that this was definitely something that I was being drawn to do. But I had probably a lot of the transition and changes that were going on for me at the time, not only with the job, but also personally, because I'd started to go on a path of more personal growth. And I'd started to go through the stages of trying to radically, I guess, change through that process as well. But there were certain aspects of myself that were not moving at the same speed. So I was perhaps doing a lot of inner work and a lot of stuff with meditation and mindfulness. But there was some elements of psychologically we're not moving at the same rate. So I guess you could say that the outer world and the inner world were a bit misaligned, and as a result of that, I started to become unwell. Probably after the summer of 2016, I started to get really quite severe palpitations. I was being woken up in the night quite violently with what I initially thought was a heart attack. It was that powerful.
Wow. Was that severe?
And yeah, it was. My heart was literally almost bouncing out of my chest, and it was a little bit scary at first. And after kind of spending a bit of time reflecting on that, I was probably, and also with the help of some other healers like Laura Pringle. I'd had a few conversations with Laura, who you'll know well, and someone who I'm incredibly grateful for in terms of some of the time of her time that she gave up to talk to me while I was going through some of these difficulties. But cut a long story short, this issue regarding the heart palpitations, I had it for the best part of a year. This went on for almost a year.
Wow, that's a long time.
It was a long time, and it was at different. It was kind of. It was one of those things that was always there, but it was it wasn't. Some nights I was able to cope with it, and other nights I wasn't. So what was happening was I was obviously running low on energy because my sleep was being impacted with this. I was being woken up sometimes 3 and 4 times a night. It was impacting my ability to get up and exercise, and I'm somebody who's always exercised consistently. I was going into the gym and having to leave the gym after 10, 15 minutes because the palpitations were coming back on when I was trying to do my workout. So it was not nice. And I'd also started to, I'd obviously started to become quite stressed with it. And the combination of all these factors had left me starting to feel very low. And I'd also started to withdraw quite a lot from family, and I wasn't as maybe communicative, and I was just had my head down trying to get the business up and running and really putting all my energies into that, but forgetting about the things that I should have been doing for self-care. I wasn't looking after myself in the way that I really needed to. And it was just through some conversations with my partner, who was incredible throughout, just trying to, reassure me even in the evenings where things were, that I was being woken up during the night. She was being woken up as well. That really helped. But ultimately I had gone to see a couple of, in addition to Laura, another sort of healer stroke coach, who was really helpful as well. and trying to help me come to, sort of get some sense of what was going on with me.
Yeah.
And I I also had a conversation with my son, who was, what age was Harvey? He would have been about, maybe, he must have been 12 maybe at the time. And he was actually having some difficulties himself with the transition up to high school. And it was something that he said to me that was quite serious and quite striking, that hit me so hard in terms of what, the words that he used, that it was actually, he was reflecting back to me how I felt. So
Wow.
so it was a really powerful moment for me that really shook me out of this state that had been going on for quite a number of months. And it was probably the turning point, actually. It shook me to the
Yeah.
point where I said, right, that's it. Enough is enough.
Wow.
And from that moment, moving forward, I started to make the changes that I needed to make in order to move forward, because I'd also done a lot of, I guess, looking into some of the patterns that were emerging that were maybe similar to the patterns that my dad had had. So there was some genetic components here, regarding thinking patterns and how that was then impacting how I was feeling. So I had to really study that, and I had to look into it quite intimately to get a sense of what was going on, and got to the realization that there was some old thinking patterns that were no longer serving me, things that were
Yeah.
some delusional thinking patterns that had to be let go of. It was almost I had to I had to yeah, I had to break myself down into small pieces in order to work
Yeah.
the whole thing out. Why was this happening? Where was it coming from? And I also was getting some shamanic sessions as well, which were amazing.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
the insight I got on those was incredible as well, and everything contributed to help to push me along. And then eventually, there was a few major moments in me with the heart palpitations and all that stopping eventually, was about me basically completely dissecting my psychology and the thinking patterns that I was happening about myself, who I was,
Yeah.
and where I was heading, and I had to completely disconnect from all those, and I guess you would say stop using so much of that and
Yes.
start using more of that. And then when I started to tune more into my heart, which had been
Your heart.
that, yeah, totally. It was as simple as that. I had to do that because in my younger years, when all this stuff was going on with my dad, and then I got into my sort of adolescence, I had adopted some thinking patterns and developed some aspects of my psychology that were no longer serving me. And it was actually what was happening was I was actually struggling to make clear, like, decisions about fairly sort of big things that were happening in my life. I was struggling to get to the point of getting the clear decisions because I wasn't I wasn't tuning into my body properly and connecting in with my heart. I was trying to work it all out using using the
Yeah.
intellectual mind, and I was never going to get the answers there. So I had to do a fair bit of work to get to the bottom of that.
I love that. I'm all about the heart. Like that's what and when we actually done a course together called Connected Kids for kids
We
mindfulness.
did.
And I remember
We did,
the
yeah.
leader, yeah, Lorraine, no, is that her name?
Lorraine
Lorraine
Murray.
Murray. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lorraine Murray,
And do
yeah.
you remember her saying to me, and it's a moment in my life, I was like, what does she mean? When I was leading my meditation that we had to do, and she said, speak from your heart, connect to your heart. And I was like, the first time I'd ever heard that, and I was like, what does she mean? And it
Yeah,
really took a few more years for me to really understand that. So I love what you're
yeah,
saying. It's
yeah,
really, that's where your truth lies. you know,
Yeah,
getting rid of
without a
those
doubt.
limiting beliefs that we've been carrying for centuries, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, and this is all these there's genetic components. There's the conditioning that you've then that's then played a part. The things that you've experienced in childhood, the things that you've experienced in your adolescence. It all adds to the mix. And the process for me was about trying to just pull all that back, pare it back, and really question it. We have to challenge our psychology and our behaviours and our thinking patterns. We have to challenge them. Challenge our motivations for doing the things that we do. What's driving that? Why did I do that? Why did I want that to happen? And the more we start to challenge ourselves, then we start to understand ourselves better.
We start to grow, we expand, we evolve. I think, I love what Michael A. Singer says, the mind can be a dangerous place or a great gift. It's so true.
Yeah. It's, for me, it's been one of the most important things I've done to invest time in understanding the tendencies of the mind, and self-familiarization is the route to it's the route to fully understanding what our purpose is in this life. I think if we get sucked into all the kind of societal things around, you've got to try and knock your pan in and make all this money because you've got to keep achieving, you've got to keep getting the next new thing, the next car, the next house, the next this and this. We get a bit lost in all that kind of stuff, and it's taken us away from our true essence on the inside and where we should be connecting to. And for me, I very, very much believe that our objective through this life is to become a self-realized human being, and that means that we basically strip back the self and we go into a place that's on a far deeper level, which you cannot do without doing inner work. So you can't get there without doing some kind of contemplative, meditative practice. You just can't. So this is why it's incredibly important that we can help, we can help more people, young people in particular, to start to understand the ways that they can become more familiar with themselves, and that connection with self comes through meditation practice, that was one of the major passions around doing what we're doing with the business, is to try and get mindfulness and meditation in its various forms into the education system, into the curriculum, because Scotland as a small country has huge potential, but its potential at the moment is limited because of some very, very important missing ingredients from the education system. To be honest, if we had the opportunity to tear it down and start again, that would probably be a good move. But there is, and I'm not saying this disrespectfully, because there's a lot of teachers and a lot of people within that education environment who are doing fantastic work with the children. They really are. But it's more at a policy level. And the system is now no longer fit for purpose in terms of the world that we now find ourselves in. And having been in schools quite a lot over the last couple of years, I can see that this is incredibly necessary. And these young people, they get it. They absolutely get it. Oh, they get it. Yeah. And
I volunteered. Remember, after we'd done that course, I volunteered in a school for 6 months. And once they started to get into the meditation, I'd arrive and they'd be like, "Take us to the meditation." Like, they loved it. They just they tune in really quickly. So tell us about the Mindful Enterprise. Like, what is it? to anyone that's
So,
never heard of you?
yeah, well, Mindful Enterprise is a social enterprise that was established to take different tailored training based on mindfulness into the education system in Scotland. And so we're delivering age-appropriate mindfulness training for children from the age of 7 and above.
Amazing.
And what we're doing with that is that we're trying to do this in a way that means that we can make a good job of it. So we're not going out there and trying to work with lots of different schools. We've been really fortunate to connect with a few schools that really want to do it well. And mindfulness is not something that you can just throw into a school after doing a few courses. It's something that has to be well thought out. It has to get buy-in from the top, from the head teacher, from a critical mass of teachers within the school to want to help to embed it, for the teachers themselves to want to go that journey and start to practice mindfulness themselves, because the children are very, very they're very, very clued in terms of the energy and what they see from teachers. And if the teachers aren't embodying what mindfulness is about, then it's not going to land very well with the children. So we need commitment and dedication from the teachers to want to bring mindfulness in. So we are trying to work with the teachers to help them to start to develop their own personal practice. We're delivering the courses for the children, which is amazing to see. And then I initially, when I started the business up, was just going in and observing other practitioners that were delivering the training with the children. And a fantastic mindfulness practitioner called Gillian Duncan was doing the stuff in Abbey Hill Primary School. And I loved it, just being there and watching what was going on. I was taking little notes. Some of the little anecdotes the kids were coming out with was fantastic. I've now delivered some courses myself to the children, and they're just a delight. They are an absolute joy to be around during that whole journey. And that some of the things that they say when they come out the meditations is priceless. So it's not a quick fix. It's not an overnight thing. It's something that takes time. It takes dedication and commitment from all involved. But I'm incredibly passionate about this. And if we don't get a movement of people behind this, because we're just one organisation that's doing this.
Exactly.
There are a number of other organisations out there also doing fantastic stuff to try and get mindfulness and various forms of meditation into the schooling environment. Because these young people need it badly right now. The amount of stuff that's going on with kids so young, with stress, anxiety, various other, there's a lot more kids in there that are maybe have got ADHD and autism and different things on the spectrum that are in mainstream schools, and maybe the mainstream schooling is really difficult for them. It's really challenging for them to be able to learn and be in that environment and thrive in it. So if we can bring in these additional solutions, I guess, that can help children, no matter what their background is, to find one of these techniques that can really help them to get the most out of their education and their health and their well-being, then it's worthwhile. But we need to keep going. We need to do more, and we need to have more people coming together who are doing similar things to connect with one another and support each other to try and help this to happen. Because it's not about who does it. not about which company that does it. It's
Yeah, it
about,
doesn't matter, just
it
let's
doesn't
be doing
matter.
it.
Doesn't matter who does
Doesn't
it.
matter, yeah.
It's about making sure it happens and
Yeah, working
doing it.
together, Gary, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's just, we're
yeah, it
all
is.
like serving to
Mm,
our best potential to help everyone just get what we're getting.
that's right. And the time is now for this, because you know, things like mindfulness, for example, were, you know, 5, 10 years ago were very, very not well. 10 years ago it was almost unheard of, but
Yeah,
5 years ago even, you know, it's something that has grown and grown, and the reason that it is because it's needed right now.
yeah,
The you know, society needs it now, and it's up to you know, it's up to every individual to decide if they want to, if it's right for them, if it's something that they do want to start to explore a bit more, and start to maybe develop a regular practice. Nobody can be forced into mindfulness, but for me, it's one of the most important things we can do, without, you know, without a shadow of a
without a
doubt.
doubt. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I'll try and explain why I think that, because what we see around us at the moment, if we look at the political world, and we look at a lot of the things that we see around about us in terms of people operating through ego, and these ego impulses, these reactive, these mechanical reactions that people have in life to situations, that's the ego, and that is an energy that needs to sustain itself. And if we continue to live our lives acting out on the back of egotistic impulses, then what we're doing is we're just feeding it. We're feeding that beast even more. We're feeding more energy into it, and and that's driving the behaviour of people. And what it's doing is it's actually preventing our consciousness that's within us, that our true essence actually coming out, because it's trapped in these ego, this ego energy. And we need to allow, so when we start to eliminate the ego from ourselves, we allow consciousness to flow from us, and we allow more heart-centeredness starts to emerge. So this is trapped within humanity right now, because we're so caught in the ego mentality. So it's incredibly important, and the more people that connect with our hearts and allow that to flow, then we know that energetic vibration has got an impact right throughout the world. This is like, there's no I,
no,
there's no one here, there's no self. It's we, it's a collective. So if every individual starts to go on a path of self-growth, where they start to become more familiar with themselves, they start to manage those mechanical impulses and not rise to them, then we're going to be able to bring more of the best of ourselves to those around us. And
yes,
when we start to to operate in that vibration, then we're impacting the global vibration. So it's so important,
yes.
hugely important.
We are all connected, and it's, that heart space that does connect us fully.
Yeah, it's
So tell us, who else can come to your courses? Because I know that you go into the schools, but the Mindful Enterprise also
yeah.
serves adults too, yeah?
We do, yeah. So we do work in corporate businesses, and we
Yep.
go in there. We do workshops to help people to understand the connection between mind, brain, and body. We really give insightful information that for some people it could be, a revelation in terms of the information that they get. We're doing courses now that are based on mindfulness, to try and help people to reduce stress, to start to be able to develop ways of managing their emotions better, to start to learn how they can realise more of their potential, And all this training will also have a really positive impact on how people can perform within the workplace as well. So we're impacting the culture of workplaces as well for organisations that are ready to I guess to engage their people in this way. So that's the income stream of the business. An important income stream is the work we do with businesses, and we use a percentage of the profits that we make from that to do subsidised and free work both in schools and in disadvantaged communities, because we believe this is something that is fundamentally important to everyone, but particularly if we think about people that are in disadvantaged communities where they are suffering a lot in terms of the stresses of life. Often there's financial stress there, which is one of the biggest. Arguably one of the biggest kind of stresses we can have if we don't feel safe in terms of our ability to earn and cover our bills and things. That's one of the that's a real big cause of people becoming unwell. So we're trying to do work there, and we've partnered with a charity called Circle, who are amazing, doing work across Scotland. They're based in Pilton in North Edinburgh, and we're training social workers and family support workers in mindfulness to help them to better support the families that they're working with. And this year we're looking to try and do work with more groups of individuals within those communities as well.
Wow, that's incredible. So that's going into places, but do you also have like a mindfulness course that anyone can sign up to?
Yeah, we do. So we do courses for individuals off the street as well. So just individual consumers, people who are intrigued or ready to explore mindfulness. We do 8-week courses, and this was the thing for me that had the biggest impact. It was the light bulb moment that came on when I did my 8-week course I did it with Gillian Duncan, who I mentioned earlier. Who's got the moment is now. She's a wonderful person, and it was that started me off on the journey with it, really. And it was after that it just made so much sense to me that I was it was on the back of that I'd seen how important this was going to be for me personally. And how important it was going to be for others. And the courses that we're running just now, we run them. It's one course a week. It's a 2-hour session once a week for 8 weeks. And the journey is possibly one of the most important things that we can learn about, if I'm honest with you. People really starting to understand the wisdom of mindfulness and the understanding how the tendencies of the mind can really contribute on a daily basis to how we feel, and the kind of emotional aspects that can come on the back of that, and that you go on a journey where you just really you get taken through the full mindfulness-based living course on a week-by-week basis. You understand. You get the foundations built at the start, where the core foundations of self-care are the teachings are delivered. You do some practices. You do some stuff where you're in just small groups, and then you can come back in and speak as a group. It's an amazingly nurturing environment to be in, and that happens over an 8-week period, and it builds over the 8 weeks. So it's been put together very, very skillfully for a reason, and it allows people to go on the journey where they can really get to understand themselves a hell of a lot better. And through that process, there's realizations that can will hit people week on week. But the difference is these realizations are coming, but they've also learnt the tools of self-care. So self-compassion, self-kindness, these things are really core sort of pillars of mindfulness. And we get those developed, those are developed in the early stages, so that anything that comes up that might be difficult for anybody, they've got the foundations there to help
got
them,
the
and the
tools.
support. Yeah, they've got the
Yeah.
tools. So it's really just giving people the tools to self-manage their well-being and how they perform on a day-to-day basis. These are the tools that people need in their life to help them just to navigate life in a way that allows us to deal with difficulty in a much, a much better way. We can approach situations much more calmly, even though there's difficulty going on round about us. So it's a really important thing for people to consider looking into.
Yeah, I know many people that have done the course and who are on the course, and I've heard it's transformational. I need to get on the course. It's something I have on my goals to do. And if anyone out there is like really intrigued by this, when is the next course and how do they sign up? How do they get in touch with you?
So the next one, the next one starts in March, and it's going to be, I think it's Tuesday the 19th of March.
Right.
Is the next one, and I hope I've got my date right, but it's that week anyway, and it's the Tuesday that week, so around about the 19th of March, and those run from the West End of Edinburgh. There's a lovely centre called Therapies just at Randolph.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Therapies at Randolph Crescent at the West End of Edinburgh there, and it's a the course is excellent, and I've been doing that with some co-facilitators as well. I've been working with Craig Alley from Total Health UK at the moment. Craig's a fantastic guy. Craig and I have become good friends over recent times, and it's been a joy to deliver the course with him. So it really is. It's a very, very worthwhile thing to invest in, and if you're really serious about really wanting to live your life in a way where you're bringing the best of yourself to your day-to-day interactions, then mindfulness is certainly one of the things that I would encourage people to consider, because before I really found mindfulness, when I look back and see how I was, some of my habits and some of the thinking patterns and what that was leading to, I can't believe I can't believe I'm the same. I'm the same person. It's been quite significant in terms of how it's changed me.
Yeah, mindfulness and meditation was the foundation of my healing. So I'm the same as you, Gary, and we've both transformed sort of together, but not even realizing that maybe we were both going through like a really dark time. So it's so good to see that we're both in the light.
Absolutely.
I'd love for you to afterwards to post a link to the next course and any other links that you have, like how to contact you, like anything. I'll repost this video so that anyone watching it can really find it easy to find you.
That would be great. Yeah, I'll do that. No problem, Lynette. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you say up until this point has been your greatest achievement so far? Like the most, your most proud moment?
That's a difficult question because I'm not. It is. It's. I mean, of course, I'm proud of. I'm proud of where the business is and the amount of the amount of work I've put in to get it there, and incredibly grateful for all the support I've had along the journey from various people. But in terms of so I'm obviously I'm happy with that. But I would say the greatest achievement is the personal growth transition and the overcoming what was a very dark period, and acknowledging that what it was bringing to me was the need for radical change. There was old habits, old thinking patterns. There was potentially even stuff that was being dragged from I don't know how many previous lives. I don't know what but there was stuff. There was some some real dark energy that was. That was following me, and as I say, these things, we can see patterns. If we look in at our parents, even if we get the chance to look up the line again to grandparents and things like that, we can see repeating cycles and repeating patterns of things happening. It might just be a slightly different flavor,
Yeah.
but there will be similar themes reoccurring. And if we look at these and see them as opportunities to grow, then we can overcome them, and we can really start to then get into a place where we're really on the path to realizing our potential. If we see them as obstacles that are, why is this happening to me? Why, if we start to ask too many why questions and think that, that life's happening to us, then we're not going to get the message. These are things that we need to experience in order to grow.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get sucked into staying in the same, suffering for long periods because we I don't know, either we don't see what it's bringing to us, or we become overwhelmed by it and overcome by it, and we can't see through the other side of it. Or I think some people can almost get into a position where they start to, I'm not going to, well, I was going to use the word become comfortable staying in that state. I think we have to question our state of being, and then we have to choose to move out of that state of being and into a new state of being. That's the only way we can overcome this stuff. There's that saying about, people who are ill, for example, or they're going through maybe some difficulties with health. I think I'm a great believer that the body gets sick through our thinking, how we think and feel.
Yeah.
I think it's, majority of it's linked to how we manage our thoughts and emotions, and I think if we think about staying just in the same sort of vibration as the vibration that got us sick in the first place, then we're maybe not going to fully heal the body and allow ourselves to move forward. So anything, when we become unwell, I think it's propelling people into growth.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen my interview with Fee Monroe, who has stage 4 cancer, and
I did.
she so powerful. Like, she says cancer gave her life because now she's living her life to the full. And I watched that documentary last night called Heal, and it's exactly everything you're saying. We hold on to old emotions, we get really stuck, and then it starts to come out in our bodies in maybe ways that is not pleasant.
We do, it's recurring thinking patterns, staying in the emotions of the past, back into maybe past experiences that were things that we didn't enjoy, reliving those, reawakening the old emotions in the body. And eventually the body, as we know, the mind and body are incredibly synchronized, and the body is responding to the energy that's been fed into it. So the quality of our thoughts, is fundamental to optimizing our health and well-being. And if we are going through cycles of repeating thought patterns, repeating states of being about how we think about ourselves, how we feel about the world, then eventually the body's going to give us something. So it's that for me, over the last 5 or more years since I've started to sort of genuinely go on this journey, is as clear as day.
Yeah. And I want to say I'm so proud of you, like, as a man, speaking your truth and speaking out about depression and talking about mindfulness. This is huge, because there's so many men out there that I believe and women, of course, but I think men especially, that just can't seem to talk and share. Do you find with your courses, is there men coming forward? Like, for me, my classes, I'll have the odd guy, the 2 men, but really I'm like, there needs to be more men here. I'd love to hold space for more men. Is it happening in your sessions?
Yeah, we're actually seeing a really interesting increase in the number of males who are coming and joining the
Amazing.
courses. So the last two courses we've done, we've had I think we've got 3 on this one out of 13.
Amazing.
But Craig and I are the facilitators, so there's like 5
Good.
guys in the room. So we're trying to get the balance there. But
Yeah.
The course before, there was
Yep.
more. I think there was 4 or 5 guys on the one before that.
Brilliant.
And yeah, I mean, if I can say anything, just if I've got a message for other
Yes,
males out there
please.
right now. So I mean, in my younger years, and some people that I don't know who's on and who's listening, but in my younger years, I had, in order for me to cope with life and what was going on round about me and the stuff that was going on with my dad and his health issues and when I threw myself into my sort of adolescent years, I still had a lot of anger inside me. I had a lot of I was suffering inside, but I didn't really know that I was, because I was still young, I was still developing, and it was driving some of the choices that I made and some of the behaviours that I displayed. I can see all that now. But in order for me to cope with all that, I went the path of trying to be a tough guy, in terms of like, not a tough guy as in, I had a hard exterior.
Yeah.
So I had a hard exterior, you know. The way I played football was quite aggressive football player, and you know, because I had anger running through me. I'd put loads of layers on top of my heart, because you know that I'd been hurt as a child, and
you're protecting yourself.
Yeah, I was protecting myself. I'd felt unsafe, and I'd seen these things going on round about me, and I thought, you know, that this was the way that I'd chosen to cope. So I put the body armor on, and it took me, you know, until my late 30s, mid to late 30s, to start really understanding that I had to heal myself from the past, which was the time where from my dad's illness and my relationship with my dad, which is now is as good as it's ever been right now.
Amazing.
You know, and you know, just also, it would be wrong of me not to mention how amazing my mum did during that time as well. You know, while all that was going on, she was incredibly strong woman, and a fantastic example of how people can cope through difficulty and be resilient.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make here for males is that we get these identities that we create for ourselves about the type of people we are, and you know, and it's all bullshit.
Yeah, when you strip all that away, who are we underneath?
It's just shite. And sorry for using those words, but
no, we sometimes have to swear to get that power across.
Yeah, it is. And I've had to really, as I said earlier, I think I had to break myself down into pieces, because I was not living my life. I wasn't the person that I really am on at a deeper level. The guy who had this image that I'd created of myself was not the real me. The real me was coming out in dispatches, you know, in little moments, but not fully.
Yeah.
And this journey of starting to explore Reiki and all these different forms of healing and mindfulness and meditation, and just being open about emotions. And I'll tell you what, I've had to go through, in order for me to free myself from this stuff in the past, I had to sit in rooms with people who I'd only, you know, just met, and I had to cry.
Oh, remember, we done a course with Laura Bingo. We're both like bubbling away. I remember that. We've done a few things together where we've been crying, Gary.
We have. But these people, these intuitive healers, they know the questions to ask, and they will just they'll just come out of the blue, and they'll just say, you know, I remember Laura saying to me, you know, it was totally left field, because we weren't talking about this at all, and she just threw it in, and she says, tell me about your relationship with your dad. And I was just like, And tell me about about your dad's illness as well. She caught me with a couple of killer questions,
Yeah.
and honestly, I just felt the emotion start to stir in my belly, and it came up honestly, it was like the floodgates.
Like a
Yeah, it
vomit.
just came out. Yeah, totally. But this was the body's way of saying that all the emotion that I had suppressed over the
Yes.
years to cope with this needed to come out.
Yeah,
It
does. It
needed
needs out. It needs to escape.
it needs to escape the body. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of males out there who have learned not the best ways of handling emotions, and
Yeah.
we choose to ignore, suppress, what it can do is it can make us emotionally unavailable for our partners.
Yep.
We can become a little bit emotionally distant from our partners. We can become moody at times. We can become aggressive at times.
Yes.
And this is the way that males tend to try and deal with emotions, because socially we're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to allow emotions to flow in these sort of positive ways.
Or to be seen as weak.
Or to be seen as, but it's the total opposite.
I know, vulnerability is so sexy.
Yeah, well,
my God. It's courageous.
Men that haven't allowed emotion to come out and to speak it out or to cry it out or whatever way, they are actually weakening themselves on the inside, because this stuff's all bubbling up inside, and there's they're going to wait for a volcano to erupt before it comes out. And it could come out in a really not the best way. So along the journey, just find ways to just be really open and honest with people round about you, somebody you trust, whether it be a mate, whether it be a family member, or going and sitting with somebody who is really, really experienced at doing this kind of stuff, a healer or some kind of an intuitive counsellor or whatever, because it can change your life. It really can. And I would say that I would say that my partner, who has put up with a lot, shall we say, over the years, but she has been phenomenal for me in terms of helping me to just open up about stuff that I would think, oh, I can't say that. I can't tell her that. I can't be open about that with her. And she's helped me to just be able to speak about anything.
Yeah.
As you say, speak your truth. Be honest and open about what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how even other people's behaviours are, how you interpret those and how they're impacting you. And just it's been liberating. And we really cannot realise our full potential until we throw off the body armour and allow all this stuff to come out. So I would encourage people to see if they can find ways to do that through conversation, through whatever means. And if anybody does tune into this and they're interested in any of the methods that I've used, then they're welcome to get in touch, of course. And I'll get to the reply as soon as I can.
There's so many people commenting, Gary, just saying what you've been saying tonight is just amazing. And so many people saying about their husbands, how they'd love them to come on the course. I think this is going to have a huge impact. And what would you love your legacy to be? What kind of impact do you want to leave on this world? Because you're already leaving a huge impact, I believe.
No, I mean, I find the questions like this quite difficult, I'll be honest, because one thing I want, I'm trying to be of service. That's all I'm doing. I've reached a point in my life where all the selfish things that I was doing, all the attachment to money, all these different things the ways I was living my life, I now realise were not serving me longer term. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to improve myself. I'm trying to get myself to a level of understanding and self-familiarization that where I can bring my best self to my interactions with my partner, with my friends and family, and with the people that I'm serving in a work context as well.
Yeah.
I want to inspire people. I want to inspire people to live their most healthiest and happiest life, because the thing that drove me to do what I'm doing was that around the time that my dad got ill, there was I saw a lot of sadness, and I saw a lot of people unhappy with life and the things that were going on. And I always used to remember as a child just thinking, just looking around, and I didn't used to like seeing people sad.
Yeah.
And it sounds pretty obvious. Nobody likes to see other people sad, but it really stuck with me quite a lot. And when I started to explore this thing called mindfulness and all these other little modalities that I've tapped into, and I started to get a little sense of feeling joy again, like really feeling joy inside me again, which was something that I had not really fully experienced other than when I was maybe partying. So I was altering my state of consciousness
Yeah.
through other means, and I'd felt joy through things like that. But it wasn't, it wasn't authentic joy, if you like. And I realised that this is a vehicle to help us to live our lives with a bit more peace and happiness. So it's something that in terms of legacy. I would love as a milestone along that journey to see mindfulness and meditation integrated into the curriculum in Scottish schools, and if we can play a small part in that, that would be fantastic. I'm humble in terms of what we are doing in the grander scheme of things. I hope we're making an impact. I'm sure we are, but I just want to make sure that what we're doing is adding value to people. And we'll keep, we'll keep looking at different things that we can do to keep expanding on that.
Amazing. Listen, this interview has been so amazing and so inspiring, and I believe that you're creating a huge impact. I'm very honoured to be your friend, and I'm so grateful that you came on here tonight, Gary. Thank
I'm
you
honoured
so
to be your
much.
friend as well. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh,
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. The stuff that you're involved in is fantastic. All the stuff that you're out there doing, you're having an impact, and keep going, because all the big doors are going to open. It's we have to put all this. We have to slog away very hard in the early years to try and get to a point where where things really start to flow. So keep going. You're doing great.
thank you. I'll repost this, Gary, so you'll be able to see all the comments, but please post all your contact details and how we get on that course, yeah?
Okay, I will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for joining in, for all your comments. And yeah, just reach out to Gary if you've got any questions. He'll be happy to answer. Thank you so much.
You.
Cheers,
All right,
Gary.
take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.